The following program deals with controversial subjects. The theories, opinions, and beliefs expressed are not the only possible interpretation. Viewers are invited to make a judgment based on all available information.
If what you are about to see is real, it's the most startling film footage in history. Although we remain skeptical, some experts believe this is authentic footage of an alien life form. Real or not, we must warn you. This appears to be an actual autopsy. And some of the footage you will see in the next hour is very gruesome. Stay with us as we put the question to you. Alien autopsy, fact or fiction?
There must have been alien bodies.
If the footage is authentic, that pretty well proves it. We've learned that aliens are visiting the Earth.
Daddy said they looked like a small 10-year-old child.
You could have the proof that this actually was an extraterrestrial craft.
I'm not seeing a liver over to the right. I'm seeing a mass that I cannot readily explain. And I have great difficulty in correlating this with any human body that I have seen.
This really felt like a real body that was being cut open.
Is the story of the millennium.
If it's a true document, it is a document of exceptional importance. If it's a fake, it should be hailed as one of the most extraordinary fakes ever put together by a filmmaker.
All right, let's jump right in, shall we? This deep dive takes us back to the 90s. Remember those days? The early internet, dial-up modems, and a grainy black and white film that just about broke the internet before the internet was really even a thing.
You're talking about the alien autopsy footage, of course. The one that supposedly showed, an alien from Roswell.
That's the one. 1947, the Roswell crash, a story that already had plenty of mystery swirling around it. And then boom, this footage drops and everyone's asking, is it real? Is it fake?
It really captured the world's imagination. I mean, think about it. 1995, no social media to spread things instantly, and yet alien autopsy, fact or fiction, becomes this global phenomenon. Suddenly everyone's an expert on UFOs, government cover-ups. It was wild.
I remember the debates. Oh yeah, people are totally glued to their screens trying to decipher those blurry images. It really built on the whole Roswell mystery, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Roswell was already prime territory for conspiracy theory. The official story kept changing. So people were primed to believe something was being hidden. And then Ray Santilli enters the picture.
Ray Santilli, right. Music promoter from London. He's the guy who claimed to have, how did he get this footage again?
His story was that he got it from a retired military cameraman. This guy who'd been there at Roswell filmed the whole thing.
And what we see is, it's pretty bizarre. A team of people looking like doctors dissecting this humanoid figure, hairless, big black eyes, and here's the thing, 6 fingers on each hand. 6.
The way it was filmed, too, added to the whole mystique. That grainy 16mm film, shaky camera work, it felt real. Like a glimpse into some secret the government was desperate to hide.
It definitely had that you have to see it to believe it kind of vibe, especially back then. But the show itself, they called it Alien Autopsy, fact or fiction. They kind of played it both ways, didn't they?
Smart move, actually. It let the viewers decide for themselves, fueled the speculation even more. And remember, this was the 90s. The X-Files was huge. People were obsessed with the paranormal. The timing was perfect.
Oh yeah, it was like the whole world was on the edge of their seats waiting for the truth to come out. Then the experts started weighing in and things got really interesting.
That's where the problems started to appear. Forensic folks took one look at this alien and said, hold on, something's not right.
What do you mean?
The anatomy was all wrong. The organs looked way too human. The proportions were off. And some even said the way the body was positioned, it didn't match up with how a real autopsy would be done.
So even the way they were working on the body was suspicious.
Exactly. Plus, there were these little details, things that just didn't fit with the 1947 timeline. Like the gloves they were wearing, those weren't common back then. Even the tools they were using seemed too modern.
It's amazing how those little things can unravel a whole story.
And there's more. Kodak got involved, the film company. Their experts looked at the film itself and, they didn't think it was as old as Santilli claimed.
Really? But he said the original was damaged. This was a reconstruction, right?
That was his story.
Yeah.
But Kodak found chemical markers in the film stock. And those markers, They pointed to the film being made much later in the 90s, not the 40s.
So even the film itself was telling a different story, but Santilli, he just kept insisting it was real.
For a while, yeah. He was good at deflecting the criticism, blamed the inconsistencies on the reconstruction process, said the real footage was too messed up to show. But eventually, the truth came out, or at least part of it.
That's where things took a wild turn. 2006, more than 10 years after the original broadcast, Santilli drops a bombshell.
He admits it. The footage wasn't what he'd said it was. It was largely, well, fake.
Wait, he admitted to faking it after all that time defending it?
Yep. And he spilled the beans on how he did it. The alien, a model made from sheep brains, chicken guts, and clay, all sculpted together very cleverly, I have to admit.
Wow. And the people doing the autopsy?
Actors. The whole thing was staged.
I mean, talk about a plot twist. So all that time, those images that had everyone captivated, it was all just a big, elaborate hoax.
It was. And the UFO community, well, their reactions were kind of all over the place. Some people felt totally betrayed, like Santilli had pulled the wool over their eyes. Others, though, they doubled down on the conspiracy theories.
Really?
Oh, yeah. They claimed Santilli was forced to say it was fake, to protect the real truth about Roswell, like he was being pressured by the government or something.
Wow. So the hoax itself kind of became fuel for more conspiracies. Yeah. But even before he came clean, there were red flags, right? Like those Kodak findings. What did they say exactly?
Well, Kodak took a close look at the film, analyzed the chemicals in it, and they figured out it couldn't have been from 1947. Filmmaking back then, it leaves specific traces, like a chemical fingerprint. And what they found in Santilli's film, it matched film stock produced in the 90s, not the 40s.
So the film itself was a giveaway. But this whole alien autopsy thing, it went way beyond just some weird pop culture moment, didn't it? It kind of says something about the media, about how easily we can be fooled.
Absolutely. It was a wake-up call, in a way. Showed us how vulnerable we are to manipulation, to fake news even. I mean, think about deep fakes today. Videos that look totally real, but are completely fabricated.
You're right. It's like the alien autopsy was a kind of early version of that, right? Using tricks and special effects to create something believable.
Exactly. And it made people think about how to tell what's real and what's not, especially now with information spreading so fast online.
Makes you wonder, could something like this happen again on an even bigger scale?
Well, that's the big question. It definitely raised ethical concerns about the media too, right? Like, what's the responsibility of broadcasters to be truthful?
Right. Where do you draw the line between entertainment and actual facts, especially when you're chasing ratings, trying to grab people's attention?
That's the debate, isn't it? And it's still relevant today. How do we make sure the news we consume is accurate, that we're not being misled?
It's wild how this one hoax, this alien autopsy thing, had so many ripple effects. It tapped into anxieties about government secrets, our fascination with aliens, and our whole relationship with the media, really.
Beyond all that, I think it also revealed something deeper, something about human nature.
What do you mean?
Our need to believe. We want to believe in something bigger than ourselves, something amazing. And this footage, even though it was fake, it gave people that. For a while, at least.
It's like we want so badly to believe that we sometimes forget to question, to be critical.
That's right. And that desire to believe, it can be a powerful thing, especially when it aligns with what we already want to be true. It's like it confirms our hopes and fears all at once.
But isn't that same desire to believe in something extraordinary also what pushes us to explore, to learn, to discover new things? I mean, if we weren't curious, wouldn't we just accept things as they are?
Absolutely. There's a balance, right? We need that sense of wonder, that drive to understand the universe. But we also need to be skeptical, to question what we see and hear. Otherwise, we can easily be fooled, whether it's by a clever hoax or our own wishful thinking.
So, in a way, the alien autopsy, even though it was a fake, taught us a valuable lesson.
I think so. It reminded us that critical thinking is crucial, now more than ever, to check our sources, be aware of biases, and not just believe something because it sounds exciting or confirms what we already think.
So we learned a lot about media, about belief, about ourselves even. But what about Roswell? Where does that leave the original mystery?
Roswell, Well, it's still a mystery, isn't it? Santilli's hoax didn't erase that. In fact, it's kind of added another layer of intrigue to the whole thing.
It's true. People are still talking about it. New theories pop up all the time. It's like Roswell became the symbol of the unknown, of the possibility that something amazing happened, even if we don't have all the answers.
Huh. Right. It represents that question mark in history, that possibility of alien contact that we haven't been able to definitively prove or disprove.
It makes you think, if Santilli hadn't faked it, would someone else have? I mean, the desire to see an alien autopsy, would that have led to someone else creating it eventually?
That's a really interesting question. It speaks to the power of our collective imagination, our need to fill the gaps in our knowledge with stories, even if they turn out to be untrue.
It's like we're hardwired for storytelling, and sometimes those stories, even the ones that are made up, tell us something about ourselves, about what we hope for, what we fear, and our endless fascination with what lies beyond our world. It really makes you think, doesn't it? This whole alien autopsy thing, it sparked so many conversations about truth, about the media, even about our own beliefs. What if the footage had never come out? Would we still be as obsessed with Roswell?
Well, Roswell has this power. You know, even without the alien autopsy, it's become this symbol of the unknown, of government secrets. And that possibility of alien contact is just so compelling.
It's true. Even now, people are still digging into it. New witnesses come forward, documents get declassified. It's like Roswell just won't go away. And I gotta admit, part of me wants it to be true, you know? This idea that we're not alone in the universe.
It's a natural human desire, right? To wonder what else is out there. And that's reflected in everything, from movies and books to, well, hoaxes like the alien autopsy.
It's like people wanted to see it so badly, they were almost willing to believe anything, even if it was fake.
It gave them something to hold on to, even if just for a little while. But in the end, it also reminded us that we can't just take things at face value, can we?
No, we can't. We have to be careful, question our sources, do our own research, especially these days with so much information flying around.
Exactly. The alien autopsy, it was a reminder that we need to be critical thinkers, to be media literate, to know how to separate fact from fiction, to spot manipulation.
So we've talked about media, about belief, about hoaxes. But what's the big takeaway here? What can we learn from this deep dive into the alien autopsy?
I think it all comes down to this. We have to be both curious and skeptical, open to the possibility of the extraordinary yandere, but also willing to question what we see and hear. Especially with something like alien life, the truth is probably out there, but it's not going to be simple.
It's like we're on a quest for knowledge. And sometimes we hit roadblocks, dead ends, even hoaxes. But those experiences, they can teach us too.
Exactly. The alien autopsy, it left us with more questions than answers, and maybe that's a good thing. It reminds us that there's still so much to discover, so much to learn.
It's like the universe is this giant puzzle, and we're slowly putting the pieces together, and sometimes we find a piece that doesn't fit, but that just makes the puzzle more interesting, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The search itself, the journey, it's just as important as finding the answers. And who knows, maybe someday we'll uncover that definitive proof of alien life. But until then, the mystery, the possibility, that's what keeps us exploring, keeps us looking up at the stars and wondering.
Well said.
Yeah.
And that's a great note to end on, I think. So to all our listeners out there, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep looking up. The universe is full of amazing things waiting to be discovered, and who knows what we might find next.
Flying saucers in the night, taste the fear truth.